Hi, this is Tyrone and welcome to another edition of The Agent. This week's episode is titled Dropped from an Agency. For the past few months, I've been blessed to teach and share some wisdom knowledge of my experience as a former model agent to three young agents on the subject of the business of model management and how to be a successful agent. For this week's lesson, so I taught them about the dreaded D word, a word that every agent hates to have to tell a model. You're dropped. Dropped from the agency that he or she thought would take them to their vogue. In other words, we're no longer interested in representing you. So go and find yourself another agency. Basically, you're fired. We've all heard at some point in life that dreaded word, that dreadful word. Not an easy one to hear or to even share to someone, as it makes you feel less about yourself or about that person. I've been there, so I know what it's like to be told to pack your bags and leave. Many of you know of the day my boss took me to lunch, and just as the meal arrived, a delicious looking plate of lobster ravioli. You know, the one where you also have pieces of lobster on top of the ravioli. And in a calm voice, he said, "Today's the last day of your contract. So I want you to go back to the agency, pack your bag, and leave. You're fired." My only distress was that I had just started eating the ravioli, which tasted so great, and now I had lost my appetite. My only thought at that moment was, I wish he had said it after the meal, not before. So I went back to the agency, picked up my knapsack, smiled like a Cheshire cat, and walked out the door smiling, walking with my head held high. And that's all I could do. I was dropped, dumped. But I know that being dropped was only going to fuel me to push harder to prove to him, my ex-boss, that he had made a grave error. And that's what happened. You see, I had greater success at the new agency that I went to than the one I was dropped from. Let's take a look at Jesus as our example of an agent who had an opportunity to drop one of his models and chose not to do so. Jesus had 12 disciples that we will call supermodels. He knew that one of them, Judas, would betray him and cause the agency to shut down for 3 days. So, instead of dropping him, Jesus kept him. Jesus knew Judas could not stop the plan of God on his life and ministry. He knew he would rise again with greater power and might, and that the gospel of the good news of his church, would spread around the world. And yes, today, 2,000 years later, we're still honoring the greatest agent ever lived, Jesus Christ, a holy and mighty God. And so this week, as I shared with the young agents, if they had to drop a model, they should not do it by text, email, or phone call. They were very hesitant when I said that. I suggested they should meet with the model for coffee and share in a kind and gentle way why the agency was no longer interested in representing them. They should outline ways that the model could change or improve his or her look or behavior or attitude, and even suggest that maybe another agency could do a better job than what they could have done. I think it's always best to do it with kindness and respect than by a text or email. By following the golden rule, do unto others as you would want them to do unto you, you're showing Christ's kindness in its purest form. Of course, this was not the suggestion the young agents wanted to hear. They were hesitant about doing it in person, which I understand, and it's not always easy to tell someone they're not wanted. But by following the teachings and ways of Christ, you will learn to show empathy and kindness to others. So, if you have ever been dropped or had to drop someone, please let me know what it was like for you. And remember, if you're ever dropped, don't stay down. Pick yourself up, brush yourself off, and smile like a Cheshire cat out the door. God, always remember this, God will always restore you. Until next time, may the peace of Christ rest on you this year in a great and mightier way than before. Shabbat Shalom. God bless you. Have a great weekend. Ciao, ciao. Bye-bye.